Hello everyone, I, Dr. Shalini Gupta, Associate Professor, Tecnia Institute of Advanced Studies, will going to deliver a lecture on process of personal selling and its approaches. The communication view of the selling process is a much richer and comprehensive view of salesmanship. Personal selling is an oral presentation in conversation by salesmen with one or more prospects for the purpose of making sales. Hence, we have the interpersonal communication of the interaction between the buyer and the seller. Both are active participants in the direct face-to-face communication. Both function as sender and receiver of messages. Both try to influence each other. The process of selling involves five number of steps such as pre-sale preparation, prospecting, pre-approach and approach, sales presentation or sales interview, and the last fifth step is your post-sale activities. The sales presentation or interview may adopt the ADAS formula: attention, interest, desire, action and satisfaction. Objections raised by the prospect are handled during the interest and desire stages. The climax of sales presentation is the securing of action, that is purchase. Following up is necessary after securing purchase. It will check buyer satisfaction and reduce his dissonance after purchase anxieties and doubts, if any. Post-purchase activities assure buyer satisfaction and repurchase. Let us describe in brief the usual steps of the sales process, and the very first step is pre-sale preparation. Anticipating the sale means getting ready. A salesman has to serve the customer. He must identify a customer's problem, solve that problem, and prescribe a solution to the customer according. To do these things, a salesman must be familiar with the product, the market, and the organization and the techniques of selling. He must know his customers, their unsatisfied needs, and their problems. He must know himself and his company. He must know buying motives and buying behavior of the customers or prospects to whom he has to sell his products. He should be aware of current competition and marketing environment in which he has to operate. Background knowledge of the company, its products and its rivals constitutes the essence of pre-sale preparation. Now come to the second step, that is prospecting. A salesman has to seek potential customers who are called prospects. A prospect means a probable buyer, the one who brings prospect to the seller's business. A prospect is one who has an unsatisfied need, ability to buy and willing to buy. Prospecting relates to locating of prospects. They can be located through present customers, other salesmen, use phone directories, or by direct cold canvassing, calling on strangers and developing contacts by scouting out leads. Located potential customers have to be qualified, that is, they must have need, purchasing power, inclination to buy, and buying authority or power. These qualified prospects must, of course, be accessible to the salesman. Prospecting is similar to seeking function of total marketing activities. Third step is pre-approach. Once a prospect is located and qualified, salesman should find out his needs, problems to be solved, his preferences, personal habits, nature, behavior, etc. The product has to be tailored to the specific requirements of the customer on the basis of adequate information of the customer wants and desires. Salesman can prepare his plan of sales presentation or interview. The sales presentation must match to the needs of the individual prospect. It should enable the salesman to handle his prospect smoothly through the buying process, that is during the sales talk. Come to the part of the approach. The third step is the stage where the salesman comes face to face with the prospect. The approach consists of the two major parts: obtaining an interview and first contact. The salesman may use various means of obtaining an interview. He may use the telephone, obtain an introduction from a customer, or use his business card. What is more important is the first contact. The salesman must be able to attract the prospect's attention and get him interested in the product. It is very important to avoid being dismissed before he can present his product. Fourth step is sales presentation. Once the salesman has sought and found potential customer and he has matched their wants with his product, he is ready to formally present that product to the customer. The sales presentation should be closely related to buying process of customers. It should be in the language the prospect understands. The sales interview should generally go according to ADA's theory. Securing attention is the first step. Attention is attracted through proper approach. Gaining interest is the second step. Many devices are used to arouse and increase interest in the product. Salesmen can do this through lively and interesting sales talk as well as through actual demonstration of the product and interesting sales talk as well as through actual demonstration of the product and its operation wherever feasible. Product or sample can be shown. Visual aids can be used in sales demonstration. Sales presentation should be clear, concise, to the point and positive. A planned sales presentation is more effective. Some companies have standardized sales talks which can be used with a few modifications if the situation demands. The product characteristics and expected benefits. The salesman should find out the customer's reactions and objections. These objections or doubts should be welcome and they should be answered with the confidence. The customer should be satisfied on all his doubts. Objections and reactions represent feedback to salesman's communications. They reflect growing interest of the customer in the product. Genuine objections should be interpreted correctly and removed tactfully. The prospect must be convinced about the benefits, expected performance and services of the product. The ability to face and meet a buyer's objections is required with the time and experience. A good presentation must satisfy four major objectives. First one, it must be complete. That means it must cover every point which is likely to influence the product. Second one, it must be clear and should leave no misunderstanding or vagueness in the prospect's mind. Third one, it must remove competition by providing that salesman product is definitely superior and is the only product that will satisfy the prospect's wants. And the last, it must win confidence of the prospect that the salesman's statements are true and that the salesman is honestly trying to help the prospect. The salesman uses the sales talk and demonstrations of the product, if possible, to achieve these objectives. He may also make use of testimonials, guarantees, and other means of creating confidence. He uses comparisons and tests to prove the superiority of his product. A salesman can learn the empathetic ability. It is the ability of sense the reaction one produces in other person and to understand his thoughts and feelings. Thought reading of the prospect enables a salesman to anticipate buyer's objections and relations and meet these to buyer's satisfaction. The problem-solving approach should be adopted by the salesman. The product offered on sale must offer adequate solutions to buyer's needs, difficulties, and specific problems. As objection should be regarded as cue that your sales presentation is not yet convincing enough and so yet not complete. Objectives at any stage during the sales interview, the salesman may be confronted by an objection. Prospects will always try to resist sale by raising arguments for not buying the product. Unless the objection is satisfactorily answered, the sale cannot take place. A salesman must always welcome objections. He must consider an objection as an indication of how the prospect's mind is working. A prospect who raises objection is easier to satisfy than a prospect who does not show any interest in the proposition. The clever salesman will always welcome all the objections, interpret the objections correctly, and will remove it tactfully without arguing with the customer. He must sometimes even anticipate an objection and forestall it. Come to the part of close, very important part, that is the close is the act of actually getting the prospect assent to buy. It is culmination of the efforts so far made by the salesman and is therefore the climax of the entire sales process. A salesman who cannot close the sale cannot in the real sense be a successful salesman. It is very important for salesmen to be alert and find out the right moment at which to close the sale. This is known as psychological moment or the reaction moment. The salesman mind and the prospects are in the perfect chord. The salesman must watch for every sign which may indicate that the prospect is willing to buy and apply the close. He must also remember that the initiative must come from him. He cannot wait for the customer to ask for the product. A sale is never complete until the product is finally in the hands of the satisfied user. Salesmen alone can assure such completion of sale. The last step, that was the fifth one, the follow-up, that is also called post-sale context. Moving the customer to the action stage, the purchase decision does not complete the salesman's task. He must write the order, arrange for dispatch and delivery of the product, facilitate grant of credit, reassure the buyer on the wisdom of his decision and minimize his dissatisfaction if any. The salesman should contact the customer frequently to maintain his goodwill and smoothen over any post-purchase problems. The follow-up is a good source of feedback to the salesman. A sale is made not in the mind of the salesman nor over the counter but in the mind of the buyer. Let the buyer decide to purchase not because you want him to do so but because he himself is motivated to buy your product because it is going to solve this problem and satisfy his wants. Salesmen must develop the faculty of empathy, that is a mind of thought reading of the customers. This will provide him accurate information of his buyer's motives, feelings, emotions, attitude, etc. Buying motives enable the salesman to know why a person buys his products. A knowledge of various types of customers, their attitude, behavior, ability to recognize and handle the different types of customers is a basic requirement for the success in selling. I hope you understand the topic. Do like, share, subscribe Tecnia TV. Thank you.